In this short video, we'll talk about perhaps the biggest, most obvious changes. There are no more assured short-hold tenancies. Existing ASTs will convert into assured tenancies, and new tenancies will be assured tenancies, with some exemptions, and we'll come back to those at the end. A landlord who offers or tries to create a fixed-term tenancy will be committing an offence and can look forward to a fine of up to £5,000. There is a new duty on landlords to give a statement of terms and other information on or before the first day of a tenancy. Tenants will be able to end a tenancy by giving 2 months' notice ending on the last day of a period. A period is a month or 28 days. A tenant cannot end midway through a period unless agreed by the landlord. There is no minimum period currently set, so a tenant could leave only 3 months into a new tenancy. Rent increases. The only valid way for a private residential landlord to increase the rent will be by serving a Section 13 notice. The minimum notice period will be 2 months for that. Tenants will be able to challenge rent increases, and the tribunal will assess the proposed rent against what the landlord could expect to receive if letting to a new tenant on the open market. This is going to cut both ways. Most rent increase clauses at the moment will have a cap and collar, so that in periods of high rent inflation, tenants are protected from big increases. That protection no longer exists. Pets. Tenants will have the right to request permission to have a pet, and the landlord may not unreasonably refuse. The bill specifically states that it is reasonable to refuse where a superior landlord does not permit pets, such as in most apartment buildings. We do not yet know what other grounds will be considered reasonable or unreasonable. There is an amendment to the Tenant Fees Act 2019 adding pet insurance to the list of permitted payments. This may be either requiring the tenant to purchase insurance or requiring the tenant to reimburse the landlord for the cost of a pet damage specific policy. I said earlier that we'd come back to tenancies not affected by the changes. There are some tenancies which are not now assured short-hold tenancies and will not be assured tenancies. That includes those with a rent of over £100,000 per year, licensed premises, those tied to agricultural land, student lets, holiday lets, and some others. We're more interested in those where the property is not the only or principal home of at least one of the tenants. That's quite common, and if it is the case, you'll have a non-housing act or a contractual tenancy as opposed to an assured short-hold tenancy or a new assured tenancy. The Renters Reform Bill adds to the list fixed-term tenancies of more than 7 years, but really that will only apply to shared ownership schemes or leaseholds with ground rent high enough to qualify as an assured tenancy. The next video will cover changes to how a landlord may end a tenancy.